Go. All right, I'm Dave Gage of harmonicalessons.com, and I am here to answer your questions about anything relating to harmonica or music. And if you have no questions today, what are you doing here? No. If you have no questions today, then I've got a topic that I will discuss, and I'll probably just start doing that in about 30 seconds. I don't know. We'll see if anybody else shows up. But the topic for today, if I don't get any questions regarding anything else, is how to improve your timing and sound more musical. And why is timing important? And especially if you're a harmonica player, because hey, it's not like you're playing the rhythm on guitar or drums or keyboards, is it? No, it isn't. So anyway, there's one or two of you watching. If you want to type something in and say hello or not, that's okay. But I think I'll get started. So what does timing mean? Songs basically have a tempo and a rhythm. And at some point in the near future, I'm going to talk about the difference between straight eighth notes and shuffled eighth notes, but that's a little bit of a topic, so I'm not going to get into that now. But songs have a tempo and a rhythm, and of course, they have a key that they're in, and they also have chord changes, and then you build a melody on top of all that, and hopefully, it's something everybody likes, and you have yourself a good song. So, the timing is important that you are in time with the song. And I have found over the last decades, 40, 45 years or so of doing this, that timing seems to be the very last thing that people who play harmonica take a look at or try to fix or try to work on. And oddly enough, you say, well, do a lot of harmonica players have bad timing? Yes, yes, they do. I know. I've seen a lot of them. And they go, well, what about guitar players and keyboard players and bass players and drummers? Not as bad. Usually. So if somebody starts playing harmonica and they came from playing guitar or keyboards or bass or drums, then they are probably more likely to have decent timing and a feel and an understanding for it. Why? Because with those other instruments, guitar and keyboard and bass and drums, you have to play the rhythm of the song at the correct tempo. Harmonica players don't have to do that. They're playing one note at a time. It's also why some other instruments can have timing problems too when they don't play a rhythm part, like horn players, what was I going to say? Clarinet, trumpet, tenor sax, alto sax, that kind of thing. Except they tend to not have as bad a timing, generally speaking, as harmonica players because they grew up in a musical world. That is, when they were trained professionally, usually at a younger age, timing was a big part of their training. And in the harmonica world, unless you start with me, and I'm sure there's some other good harmonica teachers out there who do the same thing, the timing doesn't come up so much. It's all about notes. So if you are just completely obsessed about getting the notes for a song or trying to tab out a solo or trying to jam and you're learning scales, then you're probably not going to have great timing unless you used to play guitar or keyboards or bass or drums, because again, a big part of their function is to play the rhythm. And playing a little bit of rhythm harmonica does help, but the main thing that you all need to do is to start focusing on timing and realizing that randomly or unintentionally speeding up and slowing down, not a good thing for the musicality of your performance. It just is not good. We want to bump, 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 bump. We want this, and we don't want it to 1, 2. We don't want it to speed up and slow down. Bump ba down 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 ba da ba 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 da ba 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 2, 3 ba ba da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 ba. 2, 3, 4. Ba ba ba. So that's in time. If I had a drum machine or a metronome or something, then I could prove it by staying with it. But that's just me slamming my hand against my thigh. That's the best drum machine I have at the moment. So the most important thing for harmonica players to learn is to have good timing is to tap their foot. So the long and short of this is you learn to tap your foot. Now, does that mean when you start playing harmonica, you play a song or you're doing a scale or you're jamming to a song, you should just be tapping your foot all the time? Absolutely no. Do not. Because if you're inexperienced with tapping your foot, then that means you need some work on that. It's a separate skill. It's not like you can just instantly do two things you're not good at once, like, jamming on harmonica or playing a song and tapping your foot. So what I suggest you do is find any music you like that's not too fast and not too slow and practice tapping your foot to it. I find that a lot of 80s and 90s dance music works pretty well. Sometimes modern dance music is fine too. Sometimes hip hop is okay, but sometimes it's kind of slow and mid tempo and it's got some funkiness to it, which is a good thing, but it's hard to find the beat. So, what you want to do is you want to learn to find 1, 2, 3, 4, and tap your foot. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, why am I counting 4? Because most modern music is in what's called 4/4 time. And when you hear about that or you see that, the top 4 is the number of beats per measure or bar. A measure and a bar are the exact same thing. And the bottom number, you put a magical 1 above it next to the 4, and it's basically 4 quarter notes. And a foot tap, in most cases, is essentially a quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. Now, why am I doing that and there? I'm going to get to that in just a second. But 4/4 time is the most common. And not only is it the most common time signature for modern music, most modern music is in it, but it's probably the easiest one to get going with because it's what you've heard and dealt with most of your life. We occasionally encounter a song in 3/4 time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's also called waltz time, 3/4 time. But you're not, unless you're playing very specific folk songs or country songs or whatever, you're not going to run into a lot of 3/4 time or 6/8 marching band stuff. It's mostly going to be 4/4. And so that's really what you want to deal with. And also, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to get into it now, but when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, pop, tap, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, those again are quarter notes. And you can get into straight eighth notes and shuffled eighth notes after that, and then even triplets. But I'm not going to go down that path at the moment. I've covered that. If you're a member or become a member of my website, harmonicalesson.com, go in there and check out some of my videos on timing. So that's a good thing. Now, before I was tapping my leg and singing "Oh Susanna," and I want you to note what I do here. I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, bum ba dum bum bum ba dum bum bum ba dum bum 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 2, 3, bum ba da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 2, 3, 4 ba 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 ba. Now, what I wanted to point out there was that In the beginning, I went one, two, a 1, 2, 3, dot, dot, dot. And you said, well, wait a minute. If you say most of these songs, and I'm assuming you meant that one is in 4/4 time, why did you only count to three and then come in? That's a slightly different topic, but it has a pickup. That is, a pickup means you start before a bar, and actually before, like, let's say the guitar player or the keyboard player would come in. So you go one, two, a 1, 2, 3, da da bump. So really, the third note of Oh Susanna, da da bump. It's that five blow if you're playing a diatonic harmonica. That's actually when the song kind of starts, and that's where the band would come in on beat one. Now, when you hear me or you hear somebody in music count some numbers, essentially we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right? Just counting the numbers, the beats of the bar in 4/4 time. But if you hear me do something like this, bum ba dum bum bum ba dum bum bum ba dum bum 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 2, 3 bum ba dum, what's that? Well, what that meant was there's nothing, I'm not playing the melody there during the second and third beats of the measure. Okay, that's what's going on there. So I went ba ba da ba 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 da ba 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 dum bum bum ba 1, 2, 3 ba ba da. So I end my last note on beat one of the bar, and then the second and third beat, nothing there. So that's what we call when you're not playing a note. It's called a rest. So there's 2/4 note rest, and then there's a pickup again, which comes in on beat four. So let me do that again. Bum ba dum bum bum ba dum bum bum ba dum bum dum bum bum 2, 3 da da bump, and there's beat one again. Okay, then right before I went to the chorus or the bridge, whatever you want to call it, No Susanna, I went a dun 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 me 2, 3, 4 bum. That time I counted 2, 3, 4 because there's three beats of rest where you're not playing music, you're not playing any notes, and then the chorus or bridge, whatever you want to call it, comes in on beat one of the next bar. A banjo on my knee, 2, 3, 4, dun, dun, and then it comes in there. Now, there's one other thing I want to mention about the timing thing, and hopefully this makes sense, and if not, you can always go back and, rewind and watch different parts of this video. But the other thing that's important to understand and be aware of is that when I tap my foot, or I slap my leg in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, 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 boom. It's like in a lot of basic music, the kick drum goes boom, 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 boom. If you look at disco music, house music, the kick is playing what's called 4 on the floor. It's going boom, 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 boom. And then sometimes there's clap on 2 and 4. So you go boom, 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 boom. That's really, really common for, again, what's called house music, disco music, a lot of dance music is that. Now, you say, okay, so I only have to worry about those downbeats, right? When you tap your foot, you slap your leg. What about the beats that come between those downbeats? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 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 what's that and thing there? Well, downbeats, you've got your downbeats, and in between downbeats, mathematically, right in the middle there, you get what are called upbeats. It's like, okay, that makes perfect sense. If the foot tap is a downbeat, then that's what you're going to get. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So all I'm doing is I'm slapping my leg. Slapping, it's hard for me to do it. I'm going to do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. And so when I come up, that's the upbeat. And there's a lot of music that has a lot of upbeats in it, and we also call that syncopation, if you've heard that term before. When you're playing, starting a lot of melodies and chords and things like that on an upbeat, you're syncopating. It's called syncopation. So it's important to understand that. And essentially, that's what the and is. And I learned this back in the late 70s as a music major at UC Davis. Woohoo! I was mostly just doing that because I was bored with, I was a philosophy major before that, starting to get bored. I was playing in bands and all that stuff. But you have to be able to count stuff. And so you get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. So sometimes you play stuff that starts not on the strong beat, which is the downbeat, the foot tap, but it starts on the upbeat, and it's sometimes referred to as the weak beat and syncopation. So that's without, I could talk on and on and on about this stuff, but hopefully that breaks it down enough for you and that makes some sense. The last thing I'd say, I mentioned this briefly in the beginning, but why is this important for harmonica players? Because you're not playing rhythm. People that learn to play guitar, they're going da 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 da, boo da do da do da do da, and they get a sense of downbeats and upbeats, especially if they're strumming eighth notes. They go do da do da do da. Da 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 da. So on bass and drums and keyboards and guitar, you have to be really aware of the downbeats. And because we don't do that much rhythm stuff on harmonica, we get lost a little bit. And I would say in all the years that I've been teaching, and I've had intermediate, more advanced players come to me, a lot of times they have great sound, a lot of riffs, a lot of theory, a lot of knowledge, but if they have one major weakness, it's timing. And it's hard to get because unless you have somebody like me listen to you and say, oh, that sounds pretty good, but your timing's awful, you're not probably going to know. So anyway, when you get the timing down better, you are going to sound more musical. And if somebody said, well, okay, Dave, I've played other instruments for years and years and years, 15, 20, 25 years, and I'm just starting harmonica. I don't have, clean single notes down very well and bending, but if I just kind of play notes and I do it in a nice kind of rhythmic fashion, will that be okay? Absolutely. Absolutely. So when people say ask what's more important, technique, music theory, or timing, I'd say the clear winner is timing, because timing is what is the feel of your notes in your music. Timing gives the listener a feel. And a lot of people know very little to absolutely nothing about harmonica, and maybe nothing at all about music, but they can feel music. And if your timing isn't good, they sense something is off. They probably can't explain to you what's wrong, but they know something is not great. Okay?